no, not this again. Oh no. Okay, I can see comments again. Okay. I can't see the first comment for some reason. It didn't load. But here it goes, loading. Manny, good to see you. How you doing? Evening. Mike, good to see you. How you doing? Good day. The first comment, I do apologize. It didn't come up on the system, but the rest of the comments are coming up. So whoever the first person was, who was it? Comatose, good to see you. How you doing? Dennis, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? I thought for a second, I can't see comments again, but it just loaded quite late. I don't know what is happening. Restream. Oh no, it's not coming up, is it? No, it's coming up. Okay, someone just type something very quickly. Let me see if the comment section is still working. There it goes, working. JP, thank you so much. I was hoping you didn't see mine, lol. Let's go, JP. Coatus, good to see you as well. How you doing? Yep, thank you so much to everyone. Yeah, it's working again. Hi, Miles and family. Troy, good to see you as well. How you doing? Pablo, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? What else? Good to see you as well. How you doing? Miles had a long ad. So, on tonight's live show, we're going to be talking about a mixture of topics. So we're going to go through the topics. We're going to go on the news topics. We're going to go from tonight's live show. We'll do a gist. And then we'll do the intro, disclaimer, and by that time, everyone's tuning in for the first part. By the way, thank you so much to everyone that's retweeting and liking this live show right now on X. I'm getting notifications. JP, thank you for the comment every single time. Let's go. Genuinely, thank you so much to everyone that keeps on commenting on the live show itself and off the live show, because it helps with the algorithm. I made my post on X. I'm off to YouTube. Let's go, JP. Thank you for that, brother. Mike, let's go. Woodhouse, how you doing? How's it going? It's going great. How's it going for you? Come on, good to see you, brother. How you doing? How you been, brother? And JP, see you on YouTube. By the way, genuinely, thanks so much to everyone that's commenting on the live show and off the live show on X and YouTube. It's genuinely helping with the algorithm. Also, thanks so much to everyone that's been liking and retweeting this live show on X, because I'm getting notifications right at the beginning of the live show. So we'll do a gist of what we're going to talk about tonight's live show, and then we'll do the intro, disclaimer. By that time, everyone's tuned in for the first part. Hey, Miles and everyone. Hi, Maria. Good to see you as well. How you doing, Maria? How you been? Long time. Let's go. What else? Good evening, Miles and the rest of the community. Let's go, funky brother. How you doing? Good evening, Miles of CMF. Orphan, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? On tonight's live show, we are going to be talking about it's basically a perspective from a former senior White House official. And his call is basically to the Fed reports that are going to be coming out tomorrow. So the Feds are going to be coming out with some data points regarding how the market's going to play out tomorrow, which is going to play a very crucial factor. So I'm definitely going to be covering, obviously, on tomorrow's live show is regarding the data points. We're going to go through the bullet points of what the Fed said and how it's going to react to the market and so on. But we have some perspectives from a former senior White House official calling to the Feds to do a 50 basis point rate cut urgently needed. Now, obviously, Franklin Templeton has given their perspective as well on the matter as well. But putting that to one side, we're also going to be talking about Franklin Templeton and Grayscale regarding Avalanche. Major things are happening on AVAX. We're going to go through that on tonight's live show as well. We're also going to be talking about BlackRock ETFs on tonight's live show as well. Regarding some data points regarding BlackRock ETFs on Bitcoin and Ethereum. Lots of movements are happening on Ethereum, some good, some extremely bad. We're also going to go from tonight's live show regarding Ripple and Coinbase. So Ripple is going to be having one massive event very soon. And apparently Coinbase executive board members and so on are also invited to give a speech at a Ripple event. So we're going to go through that on tonight's live show as well. What could possibly be launched on this massive Ripple event that's going to be happening? What announcements could they possibly be making? We're also going to go through the news topic of DBS Bank on tonight's live show as well. DBS Bank has just launched a blockchain solution to streamline government grant distributions in Singapore. And DBS Bank is also a Ripple partner. But we're going to go through that on tonight's live show as well. We're also going to go through the news topic of research shows that institutions regarding XRP, a research company has looked into XRP and seen how far has Ripple reached out to how many companies, how many contracts are in place. And these are some data points that they have figured out regarding Ripple Labs and how far they've stretched in terms of different jurisdictions. So we're going to go through what companies is Ripple working with, what companies they're building with, what centralized banks they're working with, and so on. We're also going to talk about India on tonight's live show as well, because India was the instigator regarding regulations that happened in New Delhi Summit in G20 meeting previously. But India is getting ready to unveil its next rules and regulations inside the market space as well. Now, the topic of the Fed doing a rate cut next, essentially tomorrow, the ECB is also, the European Central Bank is also going to be doing rate cuts as well next month though. But we have a perspective on the matter of the ECB as well. On tonight's live show, we are going to go through. They're both definitely going to impact the market regarding the EU, regarding their rate cuts, and regarding the Fed, which is going to have a much more major role to play. But also we have the issue of Mt. Gox still rummaging around, which Mt. Gox being the crypto exchange that was compromised a very long time ago, and people are still being repaid, but a big sum of repayments is on the way, which ironically, it's at the exact same time we're going to get the Fed reports of the Mt. Gox situation happening. Now, putting all that to one side, the first news we are going to go through is regarding the former senior White House official giving his perspectives and how some things need to urgently happen, a perspective from the White House, a former senior member official from the White House. But before we go through that, let's go inside the comment section first. I'm going to do the intro as well. Shelly, good to see you as well. How you doing? Morning, Shelly. So, welcome to the CMF live show. If you're watching this for the first time ever, the CMF stands for Crypto Mouse Family. And on this live show, every single night, you can tune into this live show where I talk about the most recent news that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, AI, politics, regulations. And this is episode 136, but for some reason on X, it still says 100 episode 27 and has a different title. On YouTube, it says 100 episode 36, which it is. So this is episode 136 of the CMF live show. And the disclaimer of this live show, as always, is not financial advice, not political advice, and whatever I say is only for entertainment purposes. And also, we do live Q&As as well on this live show as well, which means if you have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. I'll be more than happy to help you out. Now, let's go inside the comment section first before we go through the first news. Free and forever, good to see you. Good evening, how are you? I'm doing great. Denise, good to see you as well. How you doing? Evening. I think we're good on that. So, for first news on tonight's live show. Dale, good to see you as well. How you doing? Morning, brother. How you doing? The first news on tonight's live show is a perspective from a former senior White House official. And he's calling on the Feds to do a 50 basis point rate cut urgently needed from his perspective. Now, Franklin Templeton has a similar perspective regarding rate cuts urgently need to happen. The former deputy director of the White House National Economic Council called on the Fed to make a significant rate cut in September and criticized the central bank's decision to keep rates steady in July. He said that the Fed made a mistake by not cutting the rates earlier and that he believes a 50 basis point cut is necessary to address risking risk to price stability and inflation. He essentially cited current labor market data such as hiring trends, quit rates, and jobless claims as evidence of pressure building in the labor markets. However, he does not foresee a sudden collapse in the employment and argues that the Fed's current interest rates are overly restrictive given the levels of inflation seen in recent months. The risk to price stability and inflation are much more serious than the risk facing the labor market, he said, calling on the Fed to reassess its stance on this movement so far. On the subject, Martins, a member of the European Central Bank as well, the governing board, said that they were also ready to discuss the possible rate cuts at next month's meeting as well. Speaking at the August 23rd, Kazas said that he was very open to the idea of cutting interest rates in September, citing growing confidence that inflation would return to the 2% target. However, he noted that the final decision would depend on inflation data to be released in August as well, knowing for this hawkish stance. Also stressed that the ECB monetary policy would remain restrictive in the near term, despite the gradual interest rate cuts. He suggested that the ECB could reduce the deposit rates a few more times before maintaining this cautious approach. Now, we're going to go through the EU again in a much more detailed manner towards the end of the live show. We're going on rate cuts as well. But regarding the US, tomorrow we're going to get some data coming out. Is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? It's definitely going to affect the market either way it goes. Are we going to get rate cuts is the biggest question here. A lot of banks and a lot of executive board members and CEOs of major establishments in the United States are basically expecting rate cuts to happen, at least 2 or 1 rate cuts to be possibly happening, and rate cuts will affect the market in a positive way. But if the rate cut is too harsh, it could impact the market in a much more negative way. It could also essentially trigger a recession, but I'm very, very doubtful that we're going to be triggering some sort of a recession, and I don't think they're going to bring a recession now. After this whole political campaign is done, who's the next president, so on, after the next presidency, we can expect some sort of recession if it does possibly happen. But before this voting scenario, recession is pretty much out of the question. So some are expecting the Fed to be very, very harsh and a recession could be instigated. But some are also just expecting a basic rate cut. And in the terms of the White House member that's just came out and urgently made a report and said we need 50 basis points. If he said 75 basis points, we'll go into a recession. And I don't think they're going to be doing 50 basis points either. I think they're going to be stretching this out until the presidency is done. But also what you've got to consider is that data can be manipulated heavily, knowing, how Moody's used to manipulate data and caused a 2008 collapse. Moody wasn't the one that caused the 2008 collapse, but Moody was an instigator because Moody's lied on data on purpose to stretch it out. So if anybody thinks that they can't lie when it comes to data regarding rate cuts and they can't stretch it out and data is data, no, data can be manipulated as well. Everything in this world can be manipulated. Never be fooled. Now, going on to the next news, but I'll definitely keep people updated. Going on to the next news. Franklin Templeton and Grayscale shake up the crypto space with AVAX. Before we go through that, let's go to the comment section first. I'm sorry, but that was not a mistake. Why didn't cut them earlier? Do they think we can go up the river in a bubble? I think that's what they're suggesting, that we can go up the river in a bubble. They're just stretching it because we're going into an election and they can't have a drastic rate cut because it could also backfire. And if it backfires, we're going to a recession. If we go to a recession, we're also going for a presidency, which means it's not good for the political campaign that's going on right now, which makes Joe Biden, who is pretty much useless, and Kamala Harris, useless number 2, look even worse if we go for a recession. So they can't, be very aggressive on the rate cuts for now. After the presidency is done, they can be as, aggressive as they want and even cause a recession if they want to. But yeah, it does look like we're going up the river in a bubble. The same bubble that happened in 2008. Evening, Miles and CMF peeps. Simple, good to see you. How you doing? JP, let's go. Good evening, Miles and family. Ian, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? So, Franklin Templeton and Grayscale are shaking up the crypto space with AVAX. Grayscale Investments launches Grayscale Avalanche Trust, focusing exclusively on the AVAX token for accredited investors. Both Franklin Templeton and Grayscale embrace blockchain technology, enhancing options for digital asset investments and tokenizations. Franklin Templeton is making strides in the world of blockchain and digital assets by extending its tokenized money market fund, the Franklin On-Chain US Government Money Fund, ticker FOBXX, is about to go on the Avalanche network. Launched in 2021, the FOBXX is distinguished as the first US registered mutual fund to employ a public blockchain for recording transactions and managing share ownership. Accessible through Franklin Templeton's investments application, the Benji token is already operational on the Stellar and Polygon networks as well. This tokenization facilitates both institutional and retail investors' ability to acquire shares represented by tokens in the fund, which currently manages essentially assets totaling $420 million. However, these tokenized shares can be purchased using USDC stablecoins. Roger, head of digital assets at Franklin Templeton, expressed optimism about the integration with Avalanche. He said, bringing the Benji platform to Avalanche Network expands access to our pioneering tokenized money market fund. We are eager to engage with Avalanche's active developer community to introduce further blockchain-enabled solutions into the markets, he stated. As we essentially Grayscale Investments has broadened its areas of cryptocurrencies in terms of investment products with the introduction of the Grayscale Avalanche Trust because of this announcement. The new trust offers accredited investors the opportunity to invest in AVAX, the principal token of Avalanche's blockchain platform. Currently expecting daily, essentially, subscriptions, the Grayscale Avalanche Trust operates on a similar model to Grayscale's other single investment products out there as well, which focuses on solely on one cryptocurrency, in this case, AVAX. Grayscale's head of products and research highlighted the launch, and this is what they announced. The Grayscale Avalanche Trust underscores our dedication to offering investors novel ways to participate in the dynamic crypto environments, she explained. She also went on to say, Avalanche's strict alliance and its distinguished multi-chain architecture are crucial for the progressive of real-world asset tokenizations. Grayscale's portfolio includes a variety of investments trusts that target different cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Litecoin, Zcash, Chainlink, Decentralized, and XRP, providing investors with structured exposure to these digital assets through their trust shares. So, in terms of AVAX, I've said this before and I'll say it again. AVAX, brilliant project. That's why it's on my, basically my top 10. AVAX is in my top 10. I've said this many times as well. Regarding AVAX, the first time I announced the major announcements that were happening on AVAX was when JP Morgan decided to choose AVAX on subnet green. And when that happened, I said that corporations do tend to follow each other on the same footpath, which made Citibank go on AVAX on subnet green as well, which has now instigated Franklin Templeton to start using AVAX as well. The DMV in California also uses AVAX. AVAX is very an underrated project. It's 10 times better than Solana. Most people don't want to hear that. And here's the thing. Whatever cryptocurrency you're holding, I hope everybody makes a lot of money and is able to buy whatever they want to with their crypto money. I'm just stating what I think, my own perspective, but I hope the best for everyone, whatever cryptocurrencies you're holding. AVAX is a very, very underrated, brilliant project that is being essentially utilized by quite a lot of large institutional names. So it's definitely a project, if you haven't looked into it yet, definitely look into it. Because AVAX is better than Cardano, it's better than Solana, it's better than quite a lot of projects. And it is being utilized by major institutional names like JP Morgan, Citibank, the DMV of California, or in this case, Franklin Templeton and Grayscale. But definitely look into AVAX if you already haven't. Genuinely amazing project and very underrated. As I said yesterday, all that matters is when it comes to crypto projects, who is it working with, what is it building, and is it going to be in 5 years, 10 years time? Well, AVAX, who's it working with? Major institutional players. What is it building? Well, they're building on their subnet green in terms of tokenizations. And is it going to be in 5 years, 10 years time? Yes, because JP Morgan doesn't choose projects for 1 month period. Neither does Franklin Templeton or Citibank or Grayscale. But yeah, definitely look at AVAX if you already haven't. So regarding AVAX, it fits into the category of a successful crypto project. What is it building? Who's it building with? And is it going to be in 5 years' time? It ticks all the boxes regarding AVAX. Now, before we go through the next news, which is regarding BlackRock, regarding the ETF data reports that just came out. BlackRock's ETF data report regarding Ethereum and Bitcoin has just came out, their recent reports. Bitcoin doing good as usual regarding the ETF. Ethereum, it's doing mixed opinions on that matter. So we're going to go through that as well. But before we go through that, let's go to the comment section first. Good evening, Miles and family. Yeah, let's go. Exactly, a bunch of liars, pretty much. B2 and N2. Hulu chain, how does that work without blockchain while coin go up? Leroy, good to see you as well. How you doing? Leroy, elaborate. Elaborate on your question. Shelly, B2 and N2. Is this means that AVAX is next for ETF? AVAX can definitely be next for an ETF, without a doubt. If it's not next, it could be a project that will turn into an ETF because of JP Morgan, Franklin Templeton, and Grayscale, and a few other Citibank, and a few other major names actually on AVAX. A huge potential for AVAX to become an ETF somewhere down the road. Hi, Miles and CMF. Peg, good to see you as well. How you doing? What's up, brother Miles and CMF? Billo, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Hello, Miles. Lena, good to see you as well. How you doing? Lena, let's go. What's up, brother? Billo, good to see you as well. How you doing? Lena, good to see you as well. How you doing? So, BlackRock. BlackRock ETFs see record Bitcoin and Ethereum inflows. BlackRock iShares exchange-traded funds ETFs have experienced a unprecedented Bitcoin and Ethereum inflows from institutional players. According to recent reports by Look On-Chain Data, these inflows mark the largest regarding the asset management giant has ever seen in its cryptocurrency products, signaling a growing institutional confidence in the digital asset itself. BlackRock's Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs have surpassed other crypto ETFs. The report showed that BlackRock's iShares Bitcoin ETF accumulated 351,454 Bitcoins, worth about $21 billion. On August 21st, with about 933 Bitcoins, approximately $56 million of inflows. Meanwhile, other spot Bitcoin ETFs did not experience inflows that day. However, Bitwise, Invesco Galaxy, and Grayscale experienced outflows of 109 Bitcoins, 214 Bitcoins, and 9 Bitcoins. Within a week, BlackRock Bitcoin ETF's inflows essentially amounted to 2,891 Bitcoins went into BlackRock, worth approximately $176+ million. Fidelity Investments became second with 1,071 Bitcoins. Unfortunately, Grayscale, Invesco Galaxy, and Bitwise lost about 3,361 Bitcoins, 337 Bitcoins, and 332 Bitcoins within a week. BlackRock is just doing inflows back to back, while the rest of the ETF market space are just doing outflows back to back. Notably, BlackRock's spot Ethereum ETF is not left out of this equation either. It experienced inflows of about 10,300 Ethereum with about $26.88 million within 24 hours. Also, BlackRock's spot ETH ETF have a total of 332,723 Ethereum, equivalent to about $867.74 million in fiat. The ETH has also accumulated 20,603 Ethereum within a week. Similarly, as reported, BlackRock's ETFs have surpassed Grayscale in the on-chain holdings. The report showed that BlackRock holds around $21.217 billion in ETFs, while Grayscale holds about $21.202 billion, and it's about $14 million less. BlackRock's CEO and IBIT performance. So BlackRock's CEO Larry Fink is riding the high on the IBIT success, hailing it as the fastest growing exchange-traded fund in history. In a recent report with Fox Business, Larry expressed his astonishment at the IBIT's rapid, essentially, growth, and highlighting his unprecedented $13.5 billion in inflows within 11 weeks of trading. Larry's enthusiasm for the IBIT is enormous. He marveled it as an impressive performance, which has surpassed his expectations. BlackRock's offerings has gathered over $260 million in inflows per trading day, signaling a robust investor appetite for exposure to Bitcoin. While industry leaders like BlackRock continue to thrive, smaller players must navigate a challenging landscape to carve out their niche. Crypto ETF performance. Since their launch in January this year, spot Bitcoin ETFs have attracted a huge interest, accumulating a net inflow of over $17.71 billion. Spot Ethereum ETFs experienced a rocky start with a net outflow of over $439 million since their launch in July. Despite its initial challenges, the greater acceptance of cryptocurrencies regarding ETFs reflects a growing recognition of digital currencies within the mainstream finance. Recall that investment giant BlackRock projects that cryptocurrencies-backed ETFs will become integral regarding components of model portfolios by late 2024. Usually provided by sophisticated brokerage companies, model portfolios use a diversified investing strategy to balance risk and return by a clear, open approach, acting as a pre-designed investment template. They streamline the procedures for advisors and investors. As such, BlackRock sees a major growth in the model portfolio management. The digital asset firm predicts an increase from $4.2 trillion to $10 trillion within 5 years. So, a perspective from BlackRock has suggested that regarding an ETF market space, a perspective from Larry Fink is on his news show that he went to Fox Business, where he was talking to the news anchor, and his perspective is the ETF market space is going to grow from where it's sitting at right now in the billions to about $10 trillion in 5 years. The ETF market space is going to become a $10 trillion market space within 5 years, a perspective from BlackRock. Is it possible for the ETF market space to be climbing to a $10 trillion market space within 5 years? Yes. In my point of view, yes. The way the numbers are growing, yes. But BlackRock is going to remain number one, while Invincigo is going to be remaining number two. But also, MicroStrategy has entered the ranks as well, but they have a leverage type of situation where they're offering a 1.75% or a 1.5% fee leverage ETF space as well regarding Bitcoin on the amount of Bitcoin that MicroStrategy has been buying, and people can buy the MSD or stock, but now they have a new one that people could go for, but it's the highly volatile ETF version of a Bitcoin ETF. So there is a bit of a battle going on of who's going to be the king of Bitcoin regarding institutions. Is it going to be BlackRock or is it going to be MicroStrategy? Is what's really happening right now. So Michael Saylor is buying Bitcoin for MicroStrategy, but he's also buying Bitcoin for himself. His own portfolio is ridiculously high. I mean, it was about $1 billion and something, his own portfolio regarding Michael Saylor. And obviously MicroStrategy holds a ridiculous amount of Bitcoin as well. But for now, BlackRock is remaining number one, but MicroStrategy wants to take the number one place as well. And can it reach $10 trillion in 5 years? The way the numbers are coming in right now, the ETF market space is definitely going to grow. What's actually happening is there's a massive flow of institutions coming in. Also, the institutions that are already in place are buying a lot more, while the retail section is 50-50 of how the market is going to play out. The institutions couldn't care less. They're still buying, if it's in small amounts or large amounts or medium amounts. And it's not just institutions inside the United States that are doing this maneuver of they don't really care where the price goes. They just see it in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years time. That's just the mindset of an institutional investor. In Japan, they're doing the exact same thing as well regarding Metaplanet. Metaplanet is also raising more money to buy Bitcoin, and they don't care what the price is sitting at either, because they're seeing it as a perspective of 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the road, because that's the time period they're going to be holding it for before they let it go. Same goes with the two Canadian companies as well. And the two Canadian companies that are also following the exact footsteps of MicroStrategy. And there's a few other companies coming out of the woodworks as well, following the exact blueprint that Michael Saylor left behind for MicroStrategy. So that is the mindset of an institutional investor. They couldn't care less about price action. They see it as money is not made overnight. Money is made over time. And they are just raising money, buying, while the retail section is like, is the market going to go down? Is the market going to go up? The institution is just buying everyone out. While people are figuring out which way the market's going, institutions are buying. And one factual evidence that you can use on are institutions actually buying are S1 filings with the SEC. With the S1 filings from the SEC, you can tell which institutions have essentially invested into Bitcoin ETFs or Ethereum ETFs. You can also tell just from not just institutions, but pension funds that have invested into Bitcoin Ethereum ETFs as well. You can find out a lot of things you can find out from the S1 filings. Now, the next news topic we are going to be talking about, moving on from the BlackRock news and Bitcoin ETFs, is Ripple and Coinbase. But before we go through that, let's go inside the comment section first. And by the way, this is a live Q&A, so if you're watching this, you can get involved in the comment section as well. Let's see where we were inside the comment section. Miles, I've just checked my portfolio and thank you. Yes, I do hold quite a lot of AVAX. Let's go, funky brother. I did listen to you last year. Let's go. George, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Any XRP news? Yes, towards the end, we're going to go through the XRP news, but we have Ripple news to go through as well. Supposed to say B1 and B2, Harris and Biden. B1 and B2, Harris and Biden. Sorry, driving, no problem. I think we'll be over 10 trillion, probably over $10 trillion as well. Hello, Miles and family. Leaf, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? So, Ripple and Coinbase. Ripple taps Coinbase and industry heavyweights for a upcoming major event that's going to be happening. Ripple has unveiled an impressive lineup of speakers for its upcoming Ripple Swell 2024 event. Essentially drawing from across the blockchain, fintech, and payment industries, this year's event, scheduled to be held in Miami, Florida, October 15th to 16th, would feature some of the most respected names in the industry. Leading the charge is Ripple's CEO, Brad, who has been at the forefront of Ripple's efforts to revolutionize cross-border payments using blockchain technology. His insights are eagerly anticipated, given Ripple's recent announcements in the SEC lawsuit and the progress of Ripple's RLUSD stablecoin, as well as the company's future direction. The Ripple SEC lawsuit reached a major milestone earlier in August when Judge Torres slashed about 94% of the SEC's demand, ordering Ripple to only pay a measly $125 million civil penalty, effectively putting an end to the nearly 4-year-long battle with Ripple versus SEC. The Ripple CEO hailed the decision as a victory for Ripple, the industry, and the rule of law, adding that the SEC's headwinds against the whole of the XRP community are gone. In another significant milestone, Ripple's RUSD stablecoin has launched a private beta on the XRP ledger and Ethereum mainnet as well. Coinbase industry heavyweights to speak at the event. So regarding Ripple's massive event that's going to be happening in Miami, Florida, Coinbase members are also going to be speaking on behalf of Ripple. As indicated by Ripple, Philip Martin, Chief Security Officer of Coinbase, is expected to speak at the upcoming Ripple Swell event as well. Sheila, former chair of the FDIC, is participating at the event as well. Is also expected to bring a wealth of experience to the table, having served as a chair of the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, FDIC, and as the founding chair of the Systematic Risk Council. Other speakers lined up at the event include Superintendent Harris of the New York Department of Financial Services. I mean, the list of people that's going to be talking at the Ripple event is quite impressive. With Brad being the CEO of Ripple, and then you have the essentially Philip Martin from Chief Security Officer of Coinbase, but then you go on to more, high-profile people like Sheila Blair, the FDIC former chairman. Also, the Superintendent Harris of the New York Department of Financial Services, the NYDFS, Francisco, Global Head of Blockchain and Digital Assets at BBVA, Switzerland, and Tim, Senior Managing Director of Global Head of Equities, FX, and Alternative Products at the CME Group, Chicago Exchange. The list of people that's going to be talking at the Ripple event that's going to be happening in Miami is impressive. I mean, none of these people are small-time people. They're all chairmen of some sort of government departments. And then you have the member from Coinbase as well. But yeah, the list of people that's going to talk, and that's just some of the people that's going to be talking. There's a bigger list is going to be essentially released as well. And obviously some move arounds. But yep, there's a massive event happening in Miami for Ripple around 15th of October. Yep, 15th of October to 16th of October. Massive event is going to be happening. The Ripple Swell event is going to be happening there. And most likely they're going to be making some announcement, probably announcement about their stablecoin. So Ripple's going to make an announcement probably about RLUSD, the progress so far, or it could even just be an announcement of we're going to be releasing it and so on. Also, they're probably going to be, talk about the Ripple case and how far, how things have been since the Ripple case and so on, what progresses they've made. Obviously, they can't talk too much due to too many NDAs that's probably been signed in the progress. However, what I'm intrigued about is the people. The people that's attending this massive event is what I'm more intrigued about, and what they used to be or what they still are. It's impressive. The lineup so far is impressive of all the speakers. Genuinely impressive. Now, also on the other thing as well, regarding Ripple saying that they won the case, the $125 million. Yes, Ripple won the case. I know some people inside the crypto space don't like hearing it, that Ripple won the case. Some people inside the crypto space like to say, no, Ripple lost the case. They paid $125 million. It was a 94% discount. Obviously, you don't factor that in. Some people don't factor that in. But yeah, Ripple won the case. As much as you want to be a sole loser and say that Ripple didn't win the case, Ripple won the case. Stop being a sole loser. Whoever these people are that keeps on tweeting out, Ripple never won the case. They're paid $125 million. I still see these tweets till today. How many days has the case ended? And I'm still seeing tweets of people going, oh, Ripple hasn't won the case. They paid $125 million. Their credit score is hurt. Nobody wants to work with Ripple. They won the case, and stop being a sore loser. Just because you thought Ripple was going to lose and XRP was going to be a security, and it never happened the way you wanted it to happen. But what actually happened was the right thing. They paid a small fine, slap on the wrist, and the company gets to go and conduct business. That's exactly what's happened. That's what happens in terms of a corporate manner. You get a slap on the wrist, and then they say, continue your business. That's all that happened. So yes, it is a win for Ripple. And stop being a sore loser and tweeting out, no, Ripple lost. No, Ripple had to pay $125 million. It's just pathetic. Stop being a sore loser. Ripple won. Or if you don't like your XRP tokens, sell them. Not financial advice in any sort of a way. But if you don't like your XRP tokens, then stop holding them. It is optional to buy XRP. But if you're holding XRP and criticizing it, get rid of it. Problem gone. Not financial advice, but yeah, stop being a sore loser. Now, DBS Bank is what we're going to talk about next. Absolutely. If they want to go to that high, they have the strings to pull it. They can do whatever they want. We have no say, pretty much, yeah. We're going $10 trillion, yeah. Now, DBS Bank. DBS Bank launches blockchain solution to streamline government grant distribution in Singapore. Singaporean banking giant DBS has launched a blockchain-based solution that leverages smart contracts to simplify and expedite their distribution of government grants. According to local media reports, DBS Bank has completed a pilot project in partnership with Enterprise Singapore and the Singaporean Fintech Association, SFA. During the pilot, 27 local fintech firms received grants through a permissioned blockchain developed by DBS Bank. Unlike the public blockchains, permissioned blockchains are essentially partially decentralized and require participants to be pre-approved, ensuring a controlled and secure network for DBS Bank. DBS's permissioned blockchains enables Enterprise Singapore, e.g., essentially ESG, and the Singaporean Fintech Association, SFA, to define grant programs, criteria, and ensure that only approved beneficiaries receive funds. Smart contracts on this blockchain automatically verify and enforce these conditions, leading to a quicker disbursement of grants with minimal manual interventions. Now, according to DBS, this solution accelerates essentially delivering cash payouts to beneficiaries. DBS stated that the pilot aimed to demonstrate how programmable grants can enhance the transparency and efficiency of the grants regarding disbursement process. Now, Han Kiwi Juan, that is his name, not making fun of his name, that is his name, DBS's Singaporean country head, anticipates that the new solution will be expanded to additional use cases, including milestones, based project payments, and consumer rewards. The bank also noted that they plan to explore further applications with more government agencies under Project Orchid, essentially a multi-year digital currency initiative launched by the Monetary Authority of Singapore to investigate various uses for digital money. DBS's launch of a blockchain solution for a more efficient government grant highlights the increasing trend of using blockchain technology to enhance financial services and streamline operations in the digital world. Notably, this development comes on the heels of DBS's recent partnership with Ant International, a subsidiary of Chinese tech giants Ant Group, to launch a blockchain-based treasury solution. DBS's permission blockchain will be leveraged to facilitate multi-currency treasury operations for Ant International, the company behind the Alipay Plus mobile payment service, for example. So, DBS Bank essentially, regarding the matter of launching their own blockchain, it is a major announcement regarding DBS Bank launching their own blockchain, private blockchain. They haven't said who they've built it alongside, but we do know some partners that DBS Bank has. DBS Bank is in partnerships with a few small-time private blockchain companies, but also a very large blockchain partner is they also do have is Ripple. And they also are in partnerships with a few other Singaporean private Web3 companies as well. So maybe they could be launching an application somewhere down the road as well. But it is a major announcement of DBS Bank announcing that they've launched their blockchain solution that's working alongside the Singaporean government, launching and distribution grants. Major news from DBS Bank, genuinely. It's showing Ray, good to see as well. How you doing? It's showing basically that the traditional financial space is also mixing in with the digital space, which is massive news. Absolutely massive news. Now, sorry. Just want to put this in here. So the camera doesn't turn off. There we go. And it's not charging. Yep, it's charging. There we go. So, before I go on to the next news, I just wanted to clarify something as well. What up, Miles and Fanny? Hope it was well. Ray, let's go. I just want to clarify something as well. Yesterday, somebody asked me a question of what's going on with this whole UK scenario. So, in the UK, we had a billionaire that recently passed away in a small mini tornado type of situation in the sea in Italy, and his boat sank. Apparently, it's AI related as well. So the UK billionaire that recently passed away, his company is very AI related. His business partner's company, who also suddenly died in a car accident type of situation, is AI related as well. They both had major AI firms. One firm that they sold off to HP, and then later on, HP decided to sue them because HP bought the company for $11 billion and then decided to sue them as well. Because the company wasn't worth $11 billion and the company was worth $2 billion. I just want to give an update on the question I was asked yesterday because I said I'd look into it. And what actually happened was that these two people sold the company for $11 billion. It turns out the company was $2 billion only worth. They ended up going to the US, which they won the case, and HP lost. They ended up coming back. Now, what's interesting is when they went on the boat and they were celebrating, because one of them was on the boat celebrating while the other one was going on for a jog, which got hit by a car and passed away. At the same time, the person that was celebrating on a boat, he was celebrating with a JP Morgan member as well. Kind of reminds you of Titanic when JP Morgan wanted to set up their bank. But one of the members on the boat of this UK's billionaire was also a JP Morgan member who also passed away as well. And the main billionaire, the UK billionaire, he passed away as well. Now, the company that they were trying to build was an AI company that's apparently very good at detecting hacks before they happen. Now, zero hacks is basically what it was. So on that scenario, what actually happened is these two companies are pretty much now owned by some sort of government agencies. Later on, they're going to be owned by some government agencies, but they design AI companies that can detect hacks before they happen. Now, the next wars that we're possibly going to be going into is not going to be World War III type of scenarios where everybody drops missiles and so on. It's more like it's going to be cyber attack wars. The next wars we're going to go through is most likely going to be cyber attack wars. And these two men created something that can prevent a cyber attack before it even happens. And these two men, suddenly one gets hit by a car and the other one goes down in his boat. Now, his boat was massive, which was impossible for it to be hit by any sort of wind turbine type of situations for it to be sinking into the bottom of the sea. But they both designed an AI platform. They both had a hand in an AI platform that can detect cyber attacks before it happens. The accuracy of their company must have been very, very high for one of them to be hit by a car while the other one sinks into the bottom of this ocean. But yeah, the next type of war scenarios we are going to be going into is not going to be, people pressing buttons and missiles and so on. It's more like it's going to be cyber attacks because we're going into a digital world and cyber attacks, black swan type of scenarios and so on. But yeah, the platform that they designed could detect essentially probably at a very high risk type of situation of a cyber attack before it happens, and the platform could stop a cyber attack before it happens. So they both got taken out. So there was the answer to that question on yesterday. When somebody asked me a perspective on the matter, and I said I'll look into it and give you a perspective, that's what I caught up to. That they were both designing an AI platform that can detect cyber attacks, major cyber attacks before it happens. And one died in a car accident while he was going for a run. He got hit by a car. The other one went to the bottom of the ocean with a JP Morgan member as well. Now, moving on to the research shows that institutions in 7 continents use XRP. We do live in a very, very interesting world of very, very high manipulation. But the next news to talk about on tonight's live show is research shows that institutions in 7 continents use XRP. So some data points have came out of some institutions using the XRP ledger and so on. So I just want to give you an update on that matter. Ripple, a leading provider of enterprise blockchain solutions, has established a significant global footprint through a strategic partnership and technological advancements. Despite facing regulatory challenges in the United States, research by essentially this firm, an enterprise blockchain researcher, reveals that the company has successfully expanded its operations across all continents. So according to this research firm that looked into Ripple, they've came out and said that Ripple has successfully essentially established itself within quite a lot of jurisdictions. For example, in South America, Ripple has been at the forefront of the central bank digital currency developments in South America. The Bank of Colombia, for instance, has conducted extensive testings of the CBDC on Ripple's platform. Additionally, the company's partnerships with the Frenzo Banca, a Brazilian association of the central bank servers, aims to modernize the country's financial sector through blockchain-based solutions. Europe has also witnessed a surge in Ripple's influence as well. The company has collaborated with Clear Junction to facilitate seamless cross-border payments between the European Union and the United Kingdom. Moreover, the Central Bank of Montenegro has selected Ripple's CBDC platform for testing and deployment as well, while DZ Bank in Germany has integrated Metico, a Ripple acquisition, into its digital asset platform. Asia and the Middle East, strong partnerships and growth. Ripple's presence in Asia is particularly prominent, driven by its long-standing partnership with SBI Holdings. This collaboration has enabled the use of XRP for cross-border remittances across several countries in the region, including the Philippines, Vietnam, and Indonesia. Furthermore, the company has secured a major payment institution MPI license in Singapore, expanding its reach in the Asian. I mean, if you ever wanted a reason to know why am I holding XRP, these are very genuine reasons of why you're holding XRP. Furthermore, the company has secured a major payment institution MPI license in Singapore, expanding its reach in the Asian markets as well. Ripple has also established strategic partnerships in Dubai and Egypt in the Middle East as well. The company's collaboration with the Dubai International Financial Center aims to promote blockchain adoption in the United Arab Emirates as well. Additionally, Ripple has partnered with major Egyptian banks to enable blockchain-based payments and non-fungible tokens, so NFTs. Africa, Oceania, and Australia. Expanding influence, Ripple's expansion has extended to Africa, where the company has partnered with African to enhance remittances capabilities across the continent. In Oceania, the Republic of Palau has utilized Ripple's CBDC platform to test stablecoins pegged to the US dollar. Australia has also had notable developments, with the Novelty launching a fiat-backed AUD stablecoin on the XRP ledger. Furthermore, Ripple has engaged in discussions with the Reserve Bank of New Zealand regarding CBDC adoption as well. Ripple's global reach is evident through its strategic partnerships and technological advancements across all continents. The company's focus on CBDC's cross-border payments and other blockchain-based solutions has positioned itself as a key player in the evolving financial landscape. So if you ever want to know another reason why you're possibly holding XRP, or why somebody else wants to hold XRP, those are very genuine reasons. And if you realize, all of them were CBDC related. Every single one of them was CBDC related for cross-border payments. And as I've said multiple times, 24,000 crypto projects, 98% of central banks own CBDCs, and there are 24,000 crypto projects, and only one has a CBDC platform. It's not, you don't have to be extremely smart to be inside of a market space, but basic common sense is mostly needed. Now, India is the next news we're going to talk about tonight's slideshow regarding regulations. Scary. Regarding the nationalists in the UK, yep. Were they both British nationals? Yes, they were both British nationals regarding the ship that went down and the other guy that got hit by a car. They both designed AI platforms that was able to, one, detect hacks before they happen at a much more higher frequency, mainly probably why they got taken out. Two, they were easily able to analyze data at a much more quicker rate. The AI that they designed was called dark something, and it was much more easier to detect and analyze data at a much more rapid pace when it comes to image data or film data or research data papers and PDF documents and so on. The AI, whatever they designed, was most likely successful at detecting things before they happen. And one got hit by a car, the other one went down in the ship. But they made it look like it was HP related because they were battling HP in a massive lawsuit. And then, HP lost after a long year battle. He comes back celebrating on his boat, and his boat sinks with a JP Morgan member next to him. The only people that survived was his wife and the staff members on the boat. Him, specifically, and the JP Morgan person, gone. But they made it look like, maybe HP did something. But when you look more into them, they both designed, they were part of some AI platform. Well, the guy that got hit by a car, he was a part of an AI platform that I was designing that was able to detect hacks before they happen at a much more higher frequency rate. Zero hacks, which means exploits before they happen. And obviously the next war we're going to go into is going to be more of a cyber war type of situation because we're going into a digital world as well. As I said previously, the more we go into a digital world, hacking and scamming is going to get a much more rapid pace. The scamming part will just come from low lifes. The hacking part will just come from agencies. Like today, for example, regarding scamming, somebody on Telegram messaged me, and I don't know who this person was, but they messaged me on Telegram, and they said that they work for this particular hotel company. And then they said, can you give our hotel a 5-star rating? And if you do this for us, we'll give you this much and, we'll promote you and so on. I said, I want to do a video call. And the scammer must have thought I was stupid like him. I said, I want to do a video call. And he said, no, I mean, he said, it's very simple. Just, give us a rating and talk about us. And, we'll give you a certain amount. I said, no. I said, I want to do a video call. So it went off about 2 minutes. And then I said to him that I've tracked your IP address and I'm going to give it to the authorities of your jurisdiction. I didn't. I could, but I wasn't bothered to track his IP address. So then he swore at me and at his native language. I don't know what his language was, but the conversation went from English to a random language, which I'm guessing was swear words. And he did his entire telegram. On his Telegram bar, it didn't say last seen 1 minute ago. It just said last seen long time ago. I don't know how he was capable of that, but within seconds, his Telegram went from it was never existing. From it was alive 1 second ago to long time ago. I don't know how he did that one, but yeah, he got very scared very quickly. But in general, scamming and hacking is going to get very, very advanced. And I've always said the easiest way to tell if you're talking to a scammer or a real person is ask for a video call. If anybody ever contacts you, first, don't make contact. If a scammer tries to contact you, and this was crypto related as well, because he wanted to send me USDT as if, money's free in today's society, but he wanted to send me USDT and so on. But I've always told you, if you get contacted by anyone, it could be a family member, it could be a long distance cousin, it could be a long distance friend you haven't seen for years. Scammers pretend to be people who you know as well. Always, if you're unsure, which you should be in today's society, just say, can I do a video call? If they reject to a video call, then just leave the conversation. Always. Scammers don't like doing what? Showing their identity. So ask for their identity. Don't ask for their driver license or passport. Just say, I want to do a video call. If they say no, then you know what's up. And they pretend to be anyone. I mean, they pretend to be, members of Binance. I've had so many scammers contacting me, all the way from Binance Exchange and so on. We're just catching up on you because I'm close acquaintance in Binance, a board member. But yeah, somebody tried to pretend to be him. I said, can I do a video call? And yeah, that ended up with him swearing at me as well. I don't know why all the scammers swear at me first, and then, you know, they delete their profiles. They take it too much to heart when it comes to scams. But in general, yeah, we are the more we go into a digital world, the more scamming and hacking is going to take off. So please be careful out there. They're always after your cryptocurrency money. Protect yourselves at all times. And if you're ever unsure, just simple message, can I do a video call? If they say no, then you know it's a scammer. If they say yes, then they're probably not. But still double check. Can you please link the Ripple news inside the CMF? Yes, I can, yes. But also, once I had somebody do a video call with me and they used AI to do a video call with me, you can tell as well when the picture is blurred. Now, moving on to the Indian news in terms of regulations. So India was the first country to, to get every other G20 country on board for regulations, believe it or not. India in the New Delhi summit. So G20 summit happens pretty much in every jurisdiction. And once it was, the last one was in New Delhi. The previous ones was in New Delhi last year. And they talked about how every single country within the G20 should have the same regulations when it comes to cryptocurrencies. So after India doing that, all these G20 countries signed a declaration where cryptocurrencies, the majority of rules will be the same in all these G20 countries. And then the bank managers a month later in Morocco signed the same sort of agreement for G20 countries to be on the same sets of rules in terms of regulations, with some different regulations in place as well, jurisdiction, but the main rules will be the same. Now, India has got to a stage where updating their regulations, and they're unveiling some of their regulations. So whatever India releases in terms of their regulations is more likely going to be implemented in other G20 countries as well, because they were the instigators for every G20 country to sign the same regulation, to sign the documentation to be under the same sets of regulations. So India to unveil crypto consultation paper next month. India is moving quicker. India is moving closer and quicker to shaping its cryptocurrency regulations as the Department of Economic Affairs, DEA, prepares to release the consultation paper expected in September to October. According to local reports, the paper will gather input from various stakeholders and could set the direction for digital currencies in the country. The paper is led by the DEA secretary and comes at a time when the global scrutiny of cryptocurrencies is increasing. At the G20 meeting last year, the finance minister of India emphasized the need for international cooperation on crypto regulations, aligning India with the global push for consistent rules. Moreover, India has already taken some steps towards regulating cryptocurrencies, such as introducing a 30% tax on gains and a 1% tax deducted on the source in April 2022. These measures were the first attempts to bring crypto activities under some control. Still, the government has focused mainly on preventing illegal activities like money laundering and illicit activities and other illicit activities, rather than directly regulating the buying and selling of digital assets. The upcoming DEA paper is expected to address concerns from financial authorities like the Securities Exchange Board of India, SEBI, and the Reserve Bank of India, RBI. SBEI has suggested a multi-layered regulatory approach where different agencies handle different aspects of crypto. However, the RBI remains cautious, warning that digital currencies could threaten the country's financial stability. Additionally, the recent government actions, such as a temporary ban on Binance, which has now been lifted, a major crypto exchange, shows that India's strict stance. Although Binance regained access earlier this month by registering with the Financial Intelligence Unit, it still faces an $86 million tax demand from Indian authorities, which is true. And Binance has opened their doors to Brazil as well. Also on the topic of Binance, one thing to mention as well. Yesterday's live show, I mentioned regarding CZ, and I said that CZ is being once again sued, and that CZ is being sued for money laundering again, and that Binance and BNB and CZ are pretty much on some sort of odd level right now. BNB particularly is doing well, according to news. I mean, Binance's member is still stuck in Nigeria. They're trying to get one of their members out of Nigerian prison regarding Binance. CZ is being sued again, and Binance is being looked into again for money laundering. Now, putting all that to one side, what's interesting is the timing, because CZ was about to be released from prison. Because CZ, instead of like FTX Sam Beckman, who said, no to everything, CZ just pleaded guilty straight away, paid a fine, went to prison. So CZ was about to be released from prison. And then ironically, this random case came out of nowhere on the exact same day that CZ was about to be released from prison. So CZ has been taken out of one prison and apparently has been shifted over to another prison for holding for this second case scenario that's going on of money laundering. So as CZ was about to come out, they pulled him back in. Just want to point that one out there as well. A lot of things happen very coincidental in this world or coordinated in this world, but they really don't want CZ out of a prison cell. They really don't want him, as a free man. Now, going back to the Indian, essentially CBDC news. So Indian regulations in cryptocurrencies. India being the instigator for cryptocurrency regulations, whatever India does release in their September release paper, essentially October's release paper, is going to be very similar to the MiCA regulations, but we'll also probably get a better outlook of more regulations headed our way, depending on what jurisdictions you're in. If you live in a G20 jurisdiction, then you're going to be having similar laws of whatever India does release in terms of the regulations, because every country in G20 is under the same sets. So if you live in Canada, United States, for example, the UK, the EU, and so on and so on, you're going to be on the same rules that India does release. Your own countries are going to be releasing similar laws. Now, the ECB, but I'll definitely keep people updated on that matter as well. The ECB is the next news we're going to go through. So we talked about the Fed rate cuts, of a possibility of maybe we could go into, not recession, but we could go into aggressive rate cuts that could cause a recession after the election. We'll never have it during election. During election time, we're not going to be going for a recession. There's no logic behind. Even though we are at a massive bubble, I mean, the real estate market is definitely going to burst very nicely, because the real estate market in France especially is doing incredibly bad, which I announced on this live show, and in China is doing incredibly bad. Even the United States real estate market is doing terrible. But obviously this bubble is getting bigger and bigger, and it's going to burst at one point. The real estate market is going to burst at one point, and in terms of inflation, it's just getting worse. The numbers are there to prove that we could be headed towards some sort of recession, but not now. They can stretch the recession out, because if we go for a recession now, we're going to go for elections now, which makes Sleepy Joe and useless Kamala Harris look bad in terms of elections. But I don't think it will sway voters, definitely, but some people are still morons. They're still going to vote for Kamala Harris. One person said they will vote for a corpse instead of Donald Trump, just to put that in perspective. There was a person that actually said they will vote for a corpse instead of Donald Trump, which is ridiculous to hear. But yeah, we can't go into a recession while we're going through that scenario. Now, on this matter, the ECB is also going to be going through some rate cuts as well. So is the ECB also going to cut interest rates next month? There is a lot of chatter right now about the European Central Bank ECB and whether they're planning to slash interest rates next month. September is the month everyone's watching. Analysts are almost unanimous. Over 80% of them are expecting the ECB to pull the trigger on the rate cuts next month, along with the Federal Reserve. They're also betting on another one in December. The reasoning behind this, the inflation isn't backing down whatsoever, and it's still sitting above the ECB's target of 2%. The ECB's president, Christian Lagarde, has said that any rate cuts will depend on the data, especially what's happening with inflation. But with things as they are, it's hard to see them holding back much longer. So the EU, I mean, the EU is not going through voting, so they can go through a recession if they wanted to. Right now, the ECB has its key interest rates essentially set at 4.25% for main refinancing operations and 3.75% for deposit facilities. These were adjusted in June 2024 following a modest cut. But the mood is changing. There is a lot of talk about more cuts coming our way. The ECB is playing it cautious, trying to steer inflation back to its target without crashing the Eurozone economy, which is already struggling with slow growth and raising prices. The reason why we have raising prices is because it was coordinated for us to have raising prices with this imaginary war between Russia and Ukraine. Now, I say imaginary, but it is an actual war going on between Russia and Ukraine. But obviously, Ukraine instigated the war. And they wanted Ukraine to instigate the war. And Ukraine is being funded to instigate wars. So then Russia to get sanctioned, and then every country inside the EU and the West in general, the UK and the US, they say prices are going up because it's Putin's fault. No, prices are going up because you poked Putin. But and it's very dumb because they're still buying. The US is still buying Russian oil. The UK is still buying Russian oil. The EU is still buying Russian oil as well. The only people that are benefiting from this entire scenario are oil companies, because they're still profiting at a much more higher rate. You see, Russian oil is still being funneled through the EU, the UK, and the US, despite the US sanctioning Russia, despite the UK sanctioning Russia, and despite the EU sanctioning Russia, they're still using Russian oil. It was actually revealed on a BBC report. Out of all news sources, BBC was the one that revealed we're actually in the UK still using Russian oil, because we're buying it from India at a much more higher rate. Because India is buying Russian oil from Russia and selling it to the EU and the UK and the US at a much more higher rate. Who's benefiting from this? Oil companies. Who's losing on this? Us, the retail section. But yeah, the raising prices, I mean, you caused the raising prices. But now to say, oh, it's the inflation situation. No, you caused this to happen. You instigated this to happen. And oil companies are benefiting. The same way that during COVID-19 was the instigator of CBDCs, but also pharmaceutical companies were benefiting while people couldn't see their loved ones, and the UK government was having a party. If you didn't know, Boris Johnson was having a party at his premises. While he was telling other people to not see your relatives, he was having champagne with people around him. Apparently, you can't catch COVID if you're a politician. But if you're a regular, average Joe, COVID is just right around the corner for you. But if you're a politician, you're immune to COVID, apparently. It's just how it works in this world. It's just genuinely how it works. But on the matter of raising prices, they caused the raising prices. And this time around, oil companies are benefiting. COVID times, pharmaceutical companies are benefiting. Do we ever get a benefit in the retail section? No. We don't get to see our relatives. Prices go up for us, oil goes up for us, and in general, we don't benefit from either one of these parties. But they're always blaming on, inflation, economy. It's just how things are. It's not just how things are. You cause things, and then you say it's just how things are. Enzo Martins, a member of the ECB's governing council and the head of Latvia's central bank, he's straight up and he's ready to discuss another rate cut in September. This is what he said as well. Given the data we have at the moment, I would very much open for discussion of yet another rate cut in September. But he also is not jumping the gun for now. He's waiting to see how the new forecast and August inflation data before making any financial calls. He added that. He said monetary policies has done a good job to push inflation down to create a basis for growth, less uncertainty. But he also pointed out that there has been a lack of structural improvements, which has meant that growth overall has been relatively tamed. During the July meeting, the ECB decided to keep an open mind, acknowledging the ongoing risk to inflation outlooks. Since then, things have improved much. Productivity and data didn't meet the ECB's expectations, although there was some good news. And figures released recently showed that gains in negative wages have moderated the second quarter, which could mean that the inflation will finally return to ECB's 2% target by 2025. Also, a heads up for anyone that is essentially voting for Kamala Harris. If anybody is voting for Kamala Harris, don't be surprised when inflation goes through the roof. Just want to give everybody a heads up there as well, because the people that caused inflation was pretty much anyone from her campaign, including Sleepy Joe. Sleepy Joe caused the inflation situation. Kamala is going to add to inflation. For anybody that's voting for Kamala Harris and is later on going to be surprised, why can't I buy groceries? Why can't I pay my rent? Why can't I pay for gas? Why can't I? It's because you voted for Kamala. It's not rocket science. It's just common sense. But the issue is common sense is not that common anymore. So this is just a deja vu situation. So later on, if you are voting for Kamala Harris, and later on you go through this situation of why can't I pay for anything? Why can't I afford food? Why can't I afford to live in a house? It's because of you, because you voted for Kamala. It's not rocket science. Now, regarding his other perspectives as well, he thinks that the ECB's goal of getting inflation back to 2% by 2025 is still within reach. But even if they do go ahead with a couple of more decreases in the deposit rate, which is sitting at 3.75%, he believes the monetary policy will still remain restrictive enough to keep inflation in check. So the EU thinks that they can bring the inflation situation down for the time being, that there are no major events happening that could cause a recession in the EU, and they're not going to be aggressive with their rate cuts, which is good. I mean, the EU's market space does affect the crypto market and the stock market and any other market space in general, up to a certain extent. The same way the Japanese market, essentially had some sort of an effect on the crypto markets, but it didn't last too long, and neither did it last too long on the stock market either. Now, the US market space, if the US gets hit by any sort of recession type of scenarios, once again coming out on the news, which it won't be for now after the presidency, but if the US gets hit by any sort of situations, then yes, we're all going to be pretty much doomed. So if you are voting for Kamala, once again, when everything goes skyrocketing high and inflation goes crazily through the roof, the rest of the world is also going to be impacted by you. So, if you are voting for Kamala, just remember one thing. You're not only ruining your own life, but you're also ruining everybody else's life, because the United States markets impacts the entire world. As the Bank of International Settlements put it once, when the American markets sneeze, the world market catches a cold, which means if the American markets go, it basically means the rest of the world's market goes, which means we are going to be affected in the United Kingdom by you who voted for Kamala Harris. You are also going to be affected as well on a large scale, but we're also going to be affected as well because you decided to vote for somebody that couldn't even spell presidency. And that's not even a joke. That's probably factual information. If you ask Kamala Harris to spell presidency, she probably couldn't spell it. She does share the exact same brain cells as a goldfish, so I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, just wanted to give everybody a heads up. If you are voting for Kamala Harris, you're not only going to be ruining your own life, but also ours. I said this before and I'll say it again. I mean, American voters, you've got to realize, American voters, you're not just voting, for the United States economy. You actually have, you have the entire world's you're carrying the entire world on your shoulders when you're voting inside the United States. You're not just voting for the United States. You're voting for the whole world. The US impacts all of us. So US economy does good, our economy does good. US economy does bad, our economy does bad. It's just how it works. When is bull run going to start, Miles? Is getting replaced. Don't worry, we're still in progress. More regulations. There are more regulations than ever before, so don't worry. Have patience. Price went up all around the world, not just the US. We got sanctions. The price went up all around the world. That's true. Not just the US. We got sanctions in the end, which is also true as well. Now, we've also, unfortunately, come up to the endings of tonight's live show as well. We are finishing a bit early, about 15 minutes early, I think, if I'm not mistaken. We all finish about 15 minutes early on tonight's live show as well. So I do apologize about that. I do have an extremely important meeting tomorrow morning, early morning, 9 a.m. So we have come up to the endings of tonight's live show as well. I hope everyone enjoyed tonight's live show. It's just a little bit more shorter than usual, about 15 minutes shorter than usual. If you have any last minute questions, anybody, go through it inside the comment section if you have any questions. If not, I'll do a gist of what we talked about in tonight's live show and what we revealed. We talked about the ECB, essentially regarding rate cuts. Could they have a possible rate cut or not? We talked about India in terms of the regulations that is going to be coming out on a PDF documentation next month. We also talked about regarding research showing essentially XRP usage of what's happening around the world in terms of the XRP ledger. We also talked about DBS Bank launching a blockchain solution to streamline government grants in Singapore, which is massive news. I also talked about the news topic of Ripple and Coinbase. The Ripple Swell 2024 event is coming up. Major members are going to be doing announcements regarding Ripple's event, which is quite crazy. The people that are going to be making announcements are essentially the Superintendent Harris of the New York Department of Financial Services, Francesco, Global Head of Blockchain and Digital Assets at BBVA Switzerland, and Tim, Senior Managing Director of Global Head of Equities, and also the former chairman of the Deposit Insurance Corporation's FDIC is also going to make announcements at the Ripple event as well, alongside Brad and the Coinbase member. Major things are happening at that point around October 15th, October 16th, the Miami event for Ripple Swell. We also went through the news topic of BlackRock ETFs and inflows and outflows of Bitcoin and Ethereum and the other institutions in play. And we went through the news topic on tonight's live show regarding Franklin Templeton and Grayscale, the major announcement of AVAX, which was massive news regarding AVAX, once again being chosen by Franklin Templeton, another big player, just like JP Morgan, Citibank as well. We also talked about the former senior White House official member who has came out and given his perspectives on the matter as well of are we going to have rate cuts or not, and if we are, it's urgent and we need to have rate cuts, is what essentially a former senior White House member is saying. So those are the news topics we went through on tonight's live show, and tomorrow we're going to have some data points to go through on tonight on the CMF live show as well, because tomorrow the Fed is going to be making some sort of speeches and announcements we're going to go through. So let's see how the market plays out tomorrow after the Fed announces. So before we go, let's go inside the comment section first. Let's see where we go. Thanks, Miles. T, no problem anytime. Mike, good night, Miles and CMF. See you tomorrow, sometimes usual, Mike. Good night, Miles and CMF. See you tomorrow. Tor, see you tomorrow, sometimes usual as well. Night, Miles. Pablo, see you tomorrow, sometimes usual as well. Mike, see you tomorrow. Let's go. Thanks again, Miles, and good night, everyone. Orphan, see you tomorrow, sometimes usual. Good night, Miles and family. Troy, see you tomorrow, sometimes usual. I don't have a question, but a reminder, please post the Ripple news in CMF. No problem. Good night, brother Miles. Funky brother, good to see you. See you tomorrow, sometimes usual as well. 7 minutes late, leaving 15 minutes early. Long. Thank you for the news. Great live. And good night to all the CMF. JP, see you tomorrow. Same timing as usual. Bro, who's counting? JP, I'll see you tomorrow. Same timing as usual. I have a friend that doesn't believe the whole CBDC thing. I want to send it to him. No problem, come on. Also, your friend can go to any sort of centralized bank, and in their search box, if you want to know, if you want to read in your spare time, if you ever want to read CBDC PDF documentations, go to any central bank's website. They all have a search box. Just type in CBDC, click enter, and then a lot of PDF documents from any of those central banks you search in will come up on CBDC documentations. Good night all. Ginos, see you tomorrow sometimes usual as well. Some news about Donald Trump had to leave an outside interview danger. Oh, well, we'll look into it as well in Telegram group. I genuinely thank you so much to everyone that's tuned in to tonight's live show and every other live show as well. And I do apologize for the 15 minutes early live show, but now it's like 14 minutes. I mean, if we carry on like this, it'll be the usual live show. Now, thank you so much to everyone. Honestly, genuinely, thank you so much to everyone that tunes in every single night. I will make up to everyone tomorrow on tomorrow's live show. I'll make it up to everyone for ending a little bit early, about 15 minutes, 14 minutes early. Thanks so much to everyone that tunes in on the CMF live show. If you enjoyed this live show, drop a follow, drop a like, and subscribe. If you already haven't, drop a comment on when the live show has finished. Thanks so much to everyone that retweeted. This was the CMF live show, where you can tune in every single night, where I talk about the most recent news that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, AI, politics, regulations. If you enjoyed this live show, drop a follow, drop a like, and subscribe if you already haven't. I'll see everybody tomorrow, same timing as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you're around the world. See everybody tomorrow, same time.